This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what's going on?
Hey, John. It's like, well, I mentioned last time that I was like kind of stumped for ideas about like what this week's podcast was going to be about, and then I realized, hey, wait a second, we've got a major superhero movie coming out, and yeah, it's about one of the most disrespected superheroes of all time, Aquaman. Oh man, it's like Aquaman. It's like he's like that. Oh, man, it's like that Super Friends cartoon just like did nothing but ruin his reputation for modern generation as being like, the guy whose power is just to talk to fish.
Hey, wait, did it send waves all the way to this generation?
Pretty much, yes, it did, sir. It very much did. In fact, the fact that you're using that pun is like even more like emphasis of its legacy on the character at this point. Okay, but basically, it's like, Aquaman has just, been like for a while, like thanks to that cartoon, the most disrespected of superheroes, just because like they're saying like, hey, like what is his power? He just talks to fish, and it's like every like creator who was taken on the character since then has labored under that it's like that singular dismissal of his abilities, and for my money. It's like the one creator who was able to utter the like the best rebuttal to that assumption is Grant Morrison in his JLA run. I mentioned this last year, but it's like in his opening arc when the White Martians attacked the Earth and like the Justice League. It's like one of them came tried to take on Aquaman head on. He's like, what can you do? You can just talk to fish. And Aquaman's like, yeah, but it's like I can just also like contact the the portion of your brain that's descended from your marine ancestors and give you a seizure, which he just did. And it's like, and that's the kind of like the lateral like imaginative thinking that Morrison's makes Morrison's writing so great. In fact, he's able to take a character's abilities, look at them in an interesting way, and find new applications for them. Now, there have been like two like in the modern era like two key writers who have been tried to tackle, I guess you say, the problem of Aquaman, and found varying degrees of success with them. The first is Peter David. Now, Peter David is best known for his lengthy definitive 12-year run on the Incredible Hulk, in which he rigorously defined and reinvented the character of Bruce Banner and the Hulk over these years. It's like, and that's just his biggest and most notable accomplishment in comics. He's also had like memorable runs on Hulk and Captain Marvel as well, and like a lot of other stuff that I can't like pull off the top of my head, but like his modern day X Factor run, which lasted for over 100 issues, is a personal favorite. Now, back in the early 90s, David had a solid rep in comics, and it was announced that he was going to be taking over Aquaman because he was viewed as a writer who could bring not just sales but it's like an increased an increased quality of writing to whatever title he worked on. Now, I'm not gonna argue that because it's like David in the 90s and aughts is like you look at him and he could and he could bring something that you could always expect a certain standard of quality for whatever he brought to the what he brought to a series. But looking at it, but that being said, like these days, like looking at his track record now, it's not something that he's gotten worse. I mean, he's really kind of stayed the same. Really, it's just kind of the same level of quality like that he was bringing back in the day. It's kind of the same that he's bringing to most titles these days. I mean, like you got the same appreciation of trying to subvert conventions, the same punny remarks. It really hasn't changed a whole heck of a lot, to be honest. And that actually means a little bit less these days compared to what it was in the '90s when like that kind of when when a writer like bringing a sense of cleverness and fun to a superhero. It's like meant a whole lot more, and that's kind of like the case with Aquaman by Peter David, Volume One, which is what I picked up prior to doing this, and it collects his Time and Tide updating of Aquaman's origins. It's like and the first 8 issues of his of the Aquaman ongoing series that he wrote. Now it's like now Time and Tide was also like David's attempt to connect Aquaman's origins to his own Atlantis Chronicles miniseries that he wrote a couple of years prior that basically told the story of Atlantis prior to Aquaman's arrival. Now this is basically like Aquaman just getting his hands on the Atlantis Chronicles and adding his own origin to them, which is interesting in itself as we find out like his take on his origins, like his discovery of how Ocean Master is his own brother Orm, and how his mother might not be as crazy as initially thought. I mean, there's like I said, there's fun, there's putty trait wordcraft here, but I guess this probably would have had a bigger impact at the end if I hadn't already been aware that hey, Ocean Master is Aquaman's brother, which is something that's been like canon for a while now, but it was first established in this original miniseries. Then you get to the ongoing series itself, and this is something I was most interested to read because one of the key things from Aquaman in the '90s was the fact that he had a hook with not a hook for a hand, he had a harpoon for a hand because it was eaten off by piranhas. It's like after this one-off villain Charybdis tried to establish his dominance over Aquaman by first trying to steal his powers, and then thrusting his hand into piranha-infested waters. So it's the piranhas eating Aquaman's hand was on one hand it was viewed as hey, it's like it's the '90s. It's like we're doing all this increasingly edgy stuff, but at the same time though, it's as David notes in his foreword to the volume, it's everyone was who he had tried to pitch the series to. It's in terms of fans, we're saying oh hey, I'm running Aquaman. Oh that's nice. Hey, we're gonna should be something as the king, and King of the Seven Seas. And they're oh yeah, that's fine. It's oh, and then we're gonna have piranhas eat off his hand in the second issue. It's oh, that's hey, what? So this is kind of I mean, yeah, it does seem really crazy edgelord stuff, but at the same time though, it's this is the kind of thing that was needed to get people's attention in the in the era, and when reading it here, it honestly seems kind of quaint compared to some of the stuff we get today. And as the issues go on, I mean it's fine. It's we get to see Aquaman meet up with his sidekick Garth, team up with with other undersea adventurer Dolphin. And I get to know some of the people from the Time and Tide miniseries. So it's fine, but it's does it feel really essential or revelatory to read them in the present day? No, it doesn't. I mean, probably the most revelatory thing about the volume is the fact that when in David's foreword to the volume, when he talks about the reception that Jason Momoa got when he was revealed he was going to play Aquaman, people were going oh no man, that's not Aquaman, and then people were counting with no wait, that's Peter David's Aquaman, because David was the guy who established Aquaman as the as kind of the sullen, quiet warrior with the long hair and and beard. I mean David and artist Martin Edgeland's Aquaman, Martin Edgeland and Kirk Jovinian. They kind of defined the look of Aquaman. For the era. It's for era being the '90s really. And that's kind of what what the film was really taking is drawing from right there in terms of the look. And I think, and to be honest, it's like, seeing as someone who's like main exposure to Aquaman was Grant Morrison's JLA. It's like, and that's kind of like, this is what Aquaman like kind of looks to me. When you get like to the short hair, no beard, like orange scale mail, green pants look, that's kind of like, okay, yeah, I get that's like how he looked for years. But like that whole like the David era Aquaman, that's kind of what speaks to me. And when I see but when I see Jason Momoa rocking the Aqua Bro look, I like, okay, yeah, that's kind of the Aquaman I get. And it's also worth noting that that's the look that Aquaman is rocking right now. It's like in the like not the Aquaman series I'm reading right now, but in the Justice League series from Scott Snyder that I also the first one I read like prior to reading this, which I'll be sharing my thoughts on that in due order. But it's not just David's take on Aquaman that I wanted to look at. It's also Jeff Johns. Now, Johns has long been one of the like main movers behind it and in front of the scenes for DC Comics. It's like, I mean, from his like definitive run on Green Lantern to his running to helping trying to running the scenes behind the DC cinematic universe for a while before Justice League kind of put an end into that, and also just setting the stage for what the Rebirth relaunch should be like as well. But it's also worth noting that when the New 52 came around, he was writing two series that were considered to be kind of like the linchpins of it. One of them was, of course, Justice League, and that should have been like the flagship series of the New 52. Except that, because, hey, the best laid plans of mice and men just don't amount to much in the world. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Batman turned out to be like one of those once in a lifetime best of runs, and that's what Johns had to compete against there for Justice League. But at the same time, though, he's also working on Aquaman, because he also had to divide his time between being CEO of of DC Entertainment. So John's running Aquaman. So how did that turn out? It only lasted a little more than 25 issues, but I really get the feeling that if he had been allowed to run it for longer than that, we could have gotten something really special. Now, because the first volume, subtitled "The Trench," basically does its best to reestablish the character in the modern DCU, but it's done so in a very, very defensive manner. And I get this. It's like, this is a Aquaman who is set in a world. This is an Aquaman series set in a world where it acknowledges that he's kind of a joke, and it's like. On one hand, I understand why Johns wanted to approach this like the Aquaman as joke line of thinking for really head on, but it's kind of like the way he does this just doesn't it's just kind of like, yeah, it just offers straightforward rebuttals in the sense that it's like when they say when he pitchforks his truck full of robbers who just robbed a bank. And the policeman said, "Hey, thanks, Aquaman. Hey, you want a glass of water for that?" And he's like, "No," and he just jumps away. And then when he goes to a local fish restaurant, after fish and chips, because he at least used to eat out with his dad, and oh my God, Aquaman, it's you're eating fish. It's yeah. One of the guys is like, "Hey, can't you just talk to fish?" It's like, "No." It's when I talk to fish, it's I'm just kind of mentally trying to cajole them or convince them of something. They don't not actually able of carrying on a conversation with them, and it's kind of okay, yeah, I get it. You want to try and rebut all this jokey stuff that's said about Aquaman, but by acknowledging it and hitting it off the pass, but I don't know. It's it doesn't feel like just like the way that kind of works. I mean, like you kind of like it feels like you want it's something that Aquaman should have tried to own more than anything else, rather than just just saying like, hey, no, it's like I'm not like this. This is why, and because we all know that a rational, straightforward response to criticism, it's like is obviously the worst way to it's like to diffuse it because that's the world we live in right now. Trust me on this. Anyway, but as far as the trench itself goes, the first volume introduces like these undersea monsters that are being let out of their pen, and it's like it's kind of like hey, Aquaman versus like like aliens, and that's solid enough like setup for this for a storyline. But the thing is like it has this as the opening arc goes on, it's like you find out that it's set up. There's lots of ripe setup for it's like hey, it's like these aliens are like these creatures are like it's like are meant to be like kind of like aliens type stuff. It's like they're like it's essentially like shows they've got their own like culture and like and hierarchy. It's like and you kind of feel that okay that we're setting up for some like kind of like Star Trek style like moral dilemma here. It's like yes, these creatures are trying to take over like human trying to like are feeding on humanity, but it's like they're not like unintelligent. It's like they can be reasoned with. But in the end, Aquaman just settles for sealing them inside a volcanic rift. And that's kind of like nah, man. It's like that's I didn't want you to go there, man. It's like I want that Star Trek style. I want that we want to reason with like these creatures and find out what what how can we coexist beside them and all. I mean, the first volume does have some other fun stuff like what happens when Aquaman is like dumped in the desert and is forced to survive there. It's like especially when like one of the artifacts that he recovers from the trench happens to be of Atlantean in origin, just that these creatures may have actually been from Atlantis. Yeah, that's really kind of interesting. And then the second volume introduces a whole new team, like super team that Aquaman used to be a part of, called the Others, like people who are powered by Atlantean artifacts that his nemesis Black Manta is now trying to collect. It's like, and that's a good setup for the for a storyline as well. It's like even though it's like kind of wish that the original Black Manta had been held off for just a little bit longer, because if he's one of Aquaman's big bads, you want to like bring him in like kind of at a later date, like after like the proper setup has been done. But this volume kind of like establishes like like further establishes like John's modus operandi of like establishing Aquaman as like kind of the like strong, angry loner type, someone who like he had like he was been raised apart from Atlantis, then tried to become king after circumstances allowed for it, and then that didn't work out, and now he's just on his own with his girlfriend Mara. It's like just living in their own distance off of it's like off of Boston as well. So, but like I said, this it kind of feels like John's wanted to like make Aquaman kind of like the solo loner. It's like I don't want to say like the Wolverine of the DCU, because no, that it wasn't going quite that far. But just trying to like it seems like you recognize like it's like like just like sullenness, isolation. It's like as like being like traits that were meant to be desirable, and just pursuing those here. So there you go. It's like I don't know. It's like I mean, it's like it's that the second volume was fine as well. But it's like I just kind of get the feeling that like there's a more like interesting approach to be taken here, rather than just like making Aquaman just like like a loner. Things do get more interesting in the next volume, Throne of Atlantis, which is a crossover with Justice League, and finally works in his brother, Ocean Master, who is in the New 52 era the like ruler of Atlantis. And this is something that happened after Aquaman's ill-fated run as ruler of Atlantis didn't work out. And it's like he's I like for the story. I like the fact that yeah, that it's like that Ocean Master wasn't introduced as a explicit villain. As he was basically someone who was that only accepted the rule of Atlantis after, like, in the wake of Aquaman's departure, and it's like and only started this attack on Earth, on the surface world. It's like due to circumstances that he wasn't trying to set things up. In fact, someone else closer to Aquaman was, and that's kind of clever. If it wasn't for the fact that if you follow the law of economy of characters, you probably be able to figure out who was setting this up to begin with. So basically, the Throne of Atlantis crossover is basically like a big and bigger it's like event, as you've got like Atlantis goaded into war against the surface world. Oh, and also the creatures from the trench being set loose on the Earth, on the surface world as well. So John's does a good job of setting up this stuff, and as well as a big it's game changing event of Aquaman being having to assume rule of Atlantis at the end of the crossover. It's like I don't know, as far as anything, so it's fine. It's it's okay. It's like you kind of hope for these kind of crossovers to have some major changes in status quo, and that sets up the fourth and final volume, Death of a King. Which, hey, if you think, hey, Death of a King, does this mean Aquaman's going to die here? It's no, it's not. There's another king that's introduced here. In fact, it's actually a king that was introduced earlier in John's run, and hey, so that's good. It's there's set up and payoff here. It's basically like a story that basically has lots of stuff being thrown at Aquaman, as ruler of Atlantis, from a group of surface-side scavengers trying to find Atlantis, to Aquaman dealing with due to the Strandless relationship with Mera, because she was originally sent to take him out due to her status as one of the as one of the princesses of the other kingdoms of Atlantis that were that were established back in the day, to people in Aquaman's own inner circle who want his brother Ocean Master reinstated as the ruler of Atlantis. There's a lot going on here, and it's to John's credit that the things are eventually resolved in a pretty straightforward fashion by the end of it. Even though it's at the end of things, it's kind of set up for an even bigger story involving the true kings of the seven seas. It's kind of I get the feeling that hey, it's okay, yeah, it's he's done all this up, and so now it's we got an even bigger story, foreshadowed for now. But because this is something that John set up, he's probably not gonna let anyone else, or he's not gonna let anyone else take a shot at it. Or maybe it's just that anyone looks at this, and anyone else who follows him looks at this and goes, yeah, it's no, I'm not gonna try this. I'm gonna go and do my own thing. So really, it's kind of I feel that my hope is that if John said followed through with another 25 issues of Aquaman, we would have gotten find out that whole Kings of the Seven Seas storyline. In fact, we might still get it at some point because that's another story. That's something else being brought up in the current pages of Justice League as well. So, and now that Johns is no longer um, an intrinsic part of the DC cinematic universe, he's got more time to devote to his comic book writing, which I think is good because that's what he's delivered his his most memorable writing as well. So there you go. Oh, but I do want to mention that for the run of his for the time of his run on Aquaman, he was aided and abetted by two really great artists. First is his Green Lantern collaborator Ivan Rice, who gave us lots of fantastic visuals. Like this is a guy who who could give you all the fish, all the detail you could want to see in an underworld environment for the first half of his run. Rice is a guy that you look at him and whenever you see him working on a title, that hey, you're gonna see something that's utterly fantastic to look at. Second half of the run was handled by Paul Pelletier, and he's another guy who may not have say the detail of Rice, but he's also got some really dynamic set style as well. And he was and it was great to see him take on the series as well. So yeah, it's this is a series that had really fantastic art from beginning to finish. It's but the storytelling, I don't know. It's like I said, it was fine. I mean, I wouldn't say that that it wasn't on the level of John's Green Lantern work. That is to be certain, sadly. But it at least had me feeling that that I would like to have seen that with him with John's established taking on this current take on Green Lantern. Not Green Lantern. It's Green Lantern is his definitive thing. That's what he's going to be best remembered for. But with Aquaman, it's that he was I at least got the feeling that he was just getting warmed up in that things that if he had kept going, we probably could have gotten even better things from him. As it is, well, there's at least a nice reasonably self-contained story to be had from John's run. It's as it is. So as far as things go, it's if you're looking at as far as this new Aquaman movie goes, the origins of his look we found in Peter David's run, but I imagine a lot of the throne grabbing storytelling may also have roots in in Jeff Johns's take as well. But hey, as I'm recording this, I have not seen Aquaman yet. It has not opened, but I am definitely looking forward to this because, the early reviews have been pretty good, and I was one of the guys who actually liked Aquabro in the Justice League film from last year. So there you go. John, it's any of your thoughts on Aqua Dude and anything?
Well, it sounded like that they worked pretty hard to dispel the how shall we say it, the bad mythology.
they argue worked too hard. Johns and company worked arguably too hard on this.
Yeah. So having such advocates for this character.
Well, yeah, they believe that he's better than his reputation. That's if nothing else.
Yep. So what do you have on Tap Force next year? Next year. Did I say next year?
Yeah, that's actually right. So, unless I look at my to buy list and realize that hey, there's some stuff that I want to consider as for best of this year, because I gotta admit I really do want to get that final volume of Dan Slott's Spider-Man series, because I'm wondering if that might be really really great, but I was if I do want to consider it, then then maybe I'll do that for next time. But if not, then maybe we'll be doing the best of 2018. So
Really?
we'll see. Yeah.
The end of this year already?
Yeah, it
Oh
just
man,
doesn't feel like it right now.
it really doesn't. All right, then we'll talk to you next time on Comic Picks by the Click.
All right, laters.